I'm going to explain the results given by the Accuniq BC380. So it's a bioimpedance analysis device that does your body composition using a very low frequency electric current going through your body. And when it passes through different parts of your body, you may remember standing on this machine, there's two sensors on each side of each handle and two sensors on each foot. So making 8 sensors in total. It can actually sends a signal through the machine and can figure out if it travels faster, it's going through fat, and slower, it's going through muscle. So that's how the device works. And just to start off, if you've not had the test done before, or even if you have, here's some do's and don'ts to understand some things that can impact the test. So if you do have a pacemaker, it's important that you do not use this machine, as it does use a slight electrical signal. It can be quite dangerous for your health. So things to do: you want to maintain your normal fluid intake the day before the test. You want to, just before you're doing the test, you want to stand upright for 5 to 10 minutes. You're going to remove socks or anything that covers your feet. Remove heavy objects, as well as metal objects like watches, jewelry, belts, wallets, jackets, piercings. If you're testing in kind of cold weather, make sure you're sitting in a room about 20 to 25 degrees, 20 minutes before testing, and make sure you use the toilet before testing. Next things, if you do go kind of on a full stomach, it can impact the results. So it's just good to go to the bathroom before. Things that do not eat or exercise 3 hours before testing. So if you are going to usually walk or bike to the test, it might be better to get a ride. Don't consume alcohol or excess caffeine 24 hours prior to your test. If you do feel dehydrated in the morning of the test, drink up to 450 to 570 milliliters of water 45 minutes before your test, or longer than that. And this allows your body to absorb the water and rehydrate your cells. Don't drink anything within that 45-minute period before the start of your test, if possible. If you are in menstruation, you'd want to wait and postpone your test, so rebook it if needed. Don't use lotion or ointment on your hands or your feet. And just a general note: if you want to track your progress, you might want to get tested every 2 to 4 weeks in similar conditions, kind of depending on your aims. So if your initial test was taken in the morning and you want to test again in 2 weeks because you've started a diet or exercise program or both, it's recommended to test again at that same time for any subsequent tests. So that ensures any changes in your results are due to lifestyle changes rather than kind of external factors. So it's good to keep that in mind. Just going over your results, we'll start at the top. So you're going to have your name here, your height, your age, and your gender. And here, this person took the test at 8:42. And it's always good to kind of keep track of these. So usually your results will be sent in an email. You might want to kind of keep a health folder where you can keep track of these, because oftentimes people print them out and then they lose them. It's good to save these digitally. So just about the results, it's kind of easier to start with the weight and work your way back. So just over here on the right is the summary of everything that is you. So for this person, she was 80.6 kilograms, and the norm for a 60-year-old woman for this height, sorry, not for age, I think it's just looking at gender and height. For a 170 centimeter woman, the average kind of weight, the norms, is between 54 kilos and 73.1. So just looking at weight alone, this person would be considered kind of over the top end of that normal range. If you look at fat-free mass here, that is everything in your body, which is not fat. So your fat, so if in this person's case it was 54.6, you add that to 26. So this is your body fat here in kilos. And there you can see the range. She's slightly a bit above the range here. Add fat-free mass plus body fat, and that gets you your total weight. In some measurements, you might hear fat-free mass called lean body mass. So it's everything that's lean and not the fat. Protein is, in this person, 10.7. So that's, again, kind of taking the minerals out. Minerals are kind of like your bones and your trace minerals. And your protein is mainly your muscle mass, but not, we'll talk about that in a bit more detail later. And then finally here, your body water. So this person's slightly above the top value, but it's better to be a little bit above. It's when you go below that you might be concerned about being dehydrated. So just considering that 60% of the body is water. So moving just right along here, this next part is quite important. It's your muscle to fat analysis. So again, the weight, this is repeated, 80.6 was already here. And this gives you a bit of a graphical representation. So you've got your normal range is here in the gray, anything under in this area. If your line is kind of based on where this bar ends. So this bar for the weight, it was plotted here at 80.6 kg, which is, if normal is 100, this person is at 125, if you think of it kind of in your percentile. So this person is considered, has a weight higher than someone her height. But SMM, that's your skeletal muscle mass in kilograms. That one, so although she's overweight, you can see she also has more than normal muscle, which is fantastic. And finally, the fat mass. So that's 26. Again, this is copied from here. So just a different representation. So that is, again, she's overweight on that. Now, it's important to think about how these three things fit together. So if your graph, let's get this image here. If you pay attention to the shape formed by your bars. So if your graph looks like a C, I'm not sure if you can figure that out. And the weight here, the top one, is in this middle kind of normal range, then you're considered kind of a normal weight, but a weak kind of body build, because the skeletal muscle is in the lower than normal area. So above weight, but lower muscle, which means your body fat mass might be what's making up your weight here, not rather than the muscle. So here you can see more fat than muscle, and the weight is up. So that if the fat mass is in the normal, weight's in the normal, but muscle mass is low, this is a normal weight, but it's considered kind of weak, so not extremely strong. Then if you have someone like an eye, assuming it's all in this middle range, the eye is going to be standard type or normal weight. So all of them kind of fitting in the norms. And if you have a D, that's someone who might be quite strong. So the weight might be normal or even possibly kind of above normal. Muscle mass is one of the highest ones, and then fat mass is going to be lower as well. So this is more of a kind of athletic body type. So it's important to have a look at that. And let's go back to our example. Here we have a kind of a slight C. Now that's not a very big C, which is fine. But what happens is if someone has a really high weight and you see that the majority of that is the fat mass, so it would kind of be, say, a dot here, and the bar comes way back. Let's say the skeletal mass is there where it is, and then the fat comes back up. If it's a real big C like this, that's when you have a bit of kind of health issues that you could come across. So you want to try and keep that fat mass down and get that muscle mass up. And so in order to do that, there's this, what they call obesity analysis, but the top one is the one you usually get at the GP. They're just going to look at dividing your kilograms of weight, which your total weight is 80.6 here, divided by your height. So meters squared, that's here, and that's real simple. This has nothing to do with the content of that weight. This is just giving a GP a real quick number. Look, the BMI is 27.9. Now, where am I? Oh, so you want to stay in the norm and kind of below, definitely below 30 if possible. So your percentage body fat, this is one of the most important numbers because it's looking at what's fat versus what's muscle. And the average, everyone always asks me, what's the average? For males, the average is 15. So there's kind of a range between 10 to 20%. And for females, the average is 23. So ranging from kind of 18 to 28%. So this person is slightly above the kind of outer end of the range for females. And so could probably work to change that. Now you can change that in two ways. So one, you can increase the muscle mass. So then the more of your weight is because of your muscle. So changing the percentages of where that weight comes from. Or you can reduce your fat mass, or if you want to do it quicker, you end up doing both, and inevitably you will end up doing both. So the next section I want to show is, as you scroll down, is the abdominal obesity analysis. Now, the waist to hip ratio, I would say, look, this is just saying, are you storing your fat in your middle section? So people who store it in the middle, that's where all your main organs are. And oftentimes when there's fat around there, you get this fat around the organs, and it can be quite dangerous. So as this ratio goes up, you're going to see these other numbers go up. So if you're kind of apple-shaped, your fat's around your gut, then you'll probably have a higher number here, but you want to try and keep it below 0.85. But if you really want to keep track of what it is, instead of using this machine, you just measure kind of around your navel with a measuring tape. So rather than using this machine, so this is just a very general estimate. Visceral fat level, that is the fat around the organs. So you want to, anything kind of under 6.5 is good, but in this case, kind of under 8 for this person. 10 is getting up, and 11's, this person carries their fat kind of in their stomach area. That's why that's high, and that's the dangerous place to carry it. If you carry it kind of in your thighs and in your arms, it's a little bit safer place to carry the fat in terms of health outcomes. Visceral fat area, this is in men, somewhere between 50 and 100 is good, and in women, kind of 40 to 80. So as you can see, 81 bumps her into this boundary area, but not too bad on that. So this is the centimeter squared of that kind of fat area around your trunk. So trunk kind of meaning in the stomach area. And now we get to what I consider the fun part. We can look at your muscle here on the left with that image, and your fat. So where is it held? So you've got right and left, arms and legs, and as well as your trunk. So the trunk, the graphic makes it look like it's in the head, but it's the trunk. And this blue line on both of these images here and here, that's the norm. So for this person, she had a normal muscle mass in the trunk, but on her left arm and her right arm, it was below normal. Now, if that dot had been out here, that's above normal. And that's where you see what happened on the fat. The fat mass, it's above normal on the trunk and both arms. If you want to really nail it down, here you can see something's going on with that right leg. So, left leg is 8.06. Now, I'm not sure what the cutoff is to get it into the next area, but right leg is 8.19, so right leg's a little bit stronger. That's why it looks unbalanced. But when you go back up to the side area, you can see her body balance assessment. She got the tick on both for balance, so that's fine. Just finishing up here. You can look at the fat. Again, she's above on the arms and trunk, but legs are fine. This is just plotting. If you were to do it again, you'll get a trend line up and down. this is all again kind of a copy of the other stuff, and that's all I have. Those are most